Hi, class. We're going to try to understand the issue of behavioral addiction to pornography from more of a relational attachment point of view. So let me start by sharing a couple of assumptions. The first assumption is that we're dealing with hypersexual activity that is primarily limited to visual, to pornography on the internet. And also, we're looking at it from the point of view of a relationship, most likely a husband and a wife, and the husband is addicted to viewing pornography, and there's a lot of secrets and a lot of lies around this issue, and that's caused a tremendous attachment issue that we're going to be focusing on with the modality treatment of emotionally focused therapy. The second assumption we're dealing with is that hypersexual activity can really become an addiction that causes a tremendous soothing effect. It allows an individual to feel safe in their relationship, and the guy who might be doing this really doesn't even have a connection to the attachment issue. They're doing things and feeling and experiencing things, and they get to the point where they're really mad at themselves or upset why they do it. It's a love-hate relationship. And so the assumption is that in this behavioral addiction, there's a need or desire to be soothed or comforted or to find a safe place in their lives. Fortunately, pornography has become a short-term solution for that satisfaction. I'd like to share another assumption. There are certain brain receptors that kick off when pornography is viewed, and the result is a short-term attachment experience that is a fleeting moment. And so what we're trying to understand is how emotionally focused therapy can get to the root of the main attachment issue or need or connection issue that the man and the woman by creation should be experiencing and enjoying together. But something, and we can trace that back into a childhood experience, can be understood as kind of the beginning point where attachment injuries begin to grow. And as they develop in adulthood, we seek to find ways to meet those needs. And that's where we get into drug abuse or food addictions or sexual behaviors. Let me mention one other thing as we talk about pornography and pornographic behavior. In emotionally focused therapy, there's a discussion between little t and big T trauma events. Little t traumas could be things as simple as someone not picking up their clothes or doing the dishes or doing simple things around the house. That's part of life. That's part of what we deal with. What we're talking about with these kinds of hypersexual behaviors that come out of a viewing of pornography, especially if it's the man and the woman, the man's doing it and the woman finds out about it. While it's not an adulterous event where a man might go out, find a prostitute and have a relationship or build an extramarital affair on the side, really there are a lot of the same trust and faith and intimacy issues that are dealt with when the woman finds out that the man's been going to internet porn. It can be a devastating feeling when a woman realizes that a man is having his sexual needs met by viewing pornography. And so this can turn into what's called a big T or a big trauma event. When this happens, emotionally focused therapy provides a resource for dealing with this issue in a therapeutic session.
When the wife happens to stumble upon the pornography that her husband has been using on the computer, I would say by and large, women can sense that there might be something going on because there is a shift in their intimacy that they're experiencing. And so as she finds that pornography, it's going to be extremely frightening for her. She's going to feel like her husband is not truthful, that he's hiding things from her, that he's not to be trusted, that what else might he be hiding? And the sense that, oh no, what I thought was a very safe and secure relationship all of a sudden is very dangerous. And so she's going to want to confront her husband so that he can understand all these emotions that she's experiencing. Well, when she confronts him, by and large, all he's going to hear is, you've been a bad, bad boy, and you shouldn't be looking at porn, and you need to stop right now. He's not going to hear how much pain that she is experiencing. He's not going to feel the depth of her fear, the overwhelming sensation that she is experiencing of, who are you? You're not the person that I married. I never saw this coming. I never expected that I would be competing with other women in our relationship. And so that is where emotionally focused therapy becomes really important vehicle to help the couple to slow down and, first of all, to allow that woman to get to that fear and that sadness and to be able to express it to her husband in a soft way so that he can take it in and he can experience it like, wow, I really don't want my wife to hurt. In fact, that's the reason I was hiding it from her, because I didn't want her to hurt. And so then the husband has a sense of, wow, I don't want to do this because it hurts my wife. And that's what's really missing in the counseling that's done, by and large, if it's cognitive or it's behavioral, is it lacks this ability to really help a couple to understand what they're experiencing emotionally, to be able to share those soft, tender, primary emotions with one another, and to use that as a vehicle of healing that says, I don't want you to hurt, that I'm not going to do anything that I know hurts you. And I think it's important that we not forget that the man is hurting also. That is one of the beautiful things about emotionally focused therapy, is there is no good guy and there is no bad guy. And so as emotionally focused therapists, we want to move a couple from a place of feeling alone and abandoned to a place of feeling securely connected and attached to one another. So emotionally focused therapy is all about bringing people back to that place that they were at the beginning of their relationship, where it felt safe, it felt secure, where both people felt loved and cared for. And when there is hypersexual behavior, it can be understood based on the history of the individual as well as the type of marriage relationship that the couple have developed through the years.
I want to close with a personal testimony. For years I worked overseas, and my job took me to a lot of different countries. I traveled alone on most of those occasions, and I had many opportunities to view inappropriate things and to be tested or tempted by women in inappropriate ways. I can say on the video that I never fell or gave in to any of those temptations, but they were rampant. All the time, though, while I was in those situations, I remember saying and thinking clearly that the only thing that kept me from giving into those temptations was my relationship with my wife. Knowing her and knowing how painful it would be for her to know what I might do was the one thing that kept me from doing that. Sure, I knew God didn't think it was right. I knew the Bible said it was wrong. I knew people said not to do it. I knew people would testify that it's the wrong thing to do. On the other hand, I also knew that most everybody who was talking about it was either actively doing it or had done it in the past and would do it probably in the future. So let me end just by saying that the Bible talks about loving others as God loves us. When we know how much God loves us and gave his son for us, and when we understand that what we do causes others great pain, especially in the marriage bed, it should be a tremendous motivation not to want to do this.